What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Quint's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the PS23 Ignis leader from MMC Studio Ox, all built in, etc., etc. How much branding can you do for one figure? Apparently a lot. But that being said, they did even more here than most companies do. And this is from my own personal collection. I bought this from Agabus. He got it to me. Much appreciated. And I'm anxious to take a look at it, and I'm under some time constraints, so let's go ahead and get started. But in order to do so, we need to start with accessories. So first and foremost, he comes with a Defensor head, and this did give me like the feels of like, wow, a Defensor is actually coming. The huge eyes, and they're painted with a metallic blue, and otherwise it's just straight plastic, which does once again look a little muted, but it's ultimately fine. You get ultimately, I just wanted to say that again, I guess, you get another two faces expressions. One's like a grimacing, and one, actually they're very similar. But kind of two grimaces or growling faces maybe, which are also, you know, fine. You get two of these, which I think are mainly intended to look kind of like nozzles, you know, like given the fire theme. Straight black plastic. They do move here, and you get two of them. In base mode, your nozzle will go into the inside of the arm. And you also get two of these, and we'll talk about all of the features with them as we move through. But once again, decent enough sculpt, nothing crazy, nothing spectacular, nothing really remarkable, to be honest, and no paint either, so pretty plain. And in base mode, you're using this little cutout here to sit over top of your stabilizer. As for the handle, it has a handle here that can flip down, but it also has a larger handle for combine mode. But you could take the smaller handle, plug it in to his palm of his hand in typical Masterpiece fashion, or you can use the combiner handle. Either one will work. You can take both of them and use them in concert by plugging the nozzle section into the bottom of the gun in two places, and then utilizing this female port here to tab in, and you can do that on both sides if you'd like, and then you can have some nozzle action there at the front if you so desire, you know, and you can double that up so it's symmetrical. And let's get to vehicle mode. So it's pretty good. We don't have any paint finishes. So what you see here is blue plastic. Now all of this stuff, deco-wise, accent-wise, is all painted. So you have these, I'm guessing these are supposed to be gauges. They're just painted silver, which is okay. And then we have the hose here, which is painted white with the black straps keeping it in. Silver accents along the way. Silver accents on the wheels. Red accents there. And we're just doing deco at the moment. We have this flame, that's tampoed paint or pad printed paint. Silver accents up top. Red translucent emergency lights. We have these kind of side bus style mirrors that are done in a more softer plastic. 3 windshield wipers, just when 2 is not enough, you know what I mean? And it's a long story, but you can have plenty of fire trucks out there with 2 windshield wipers. There's also those with 3, but there's plenty with 2. We have silver for the front grille, silver for that little emblem there. We have our blinkers with orange and some more, I'm guessing, emergency lights. Same on this side. Accents. Looks pretty good. We have the rear brake lights. Well, actually, those are not brake lights, but they should be. But they're like caution lights. And then we have, let's say, rubber tires. Already mentioned that. So it's missing something, right? It's missing the ladder. And you got to pull it out and then flip this piece up. And then you have your kind of rear mount ladder. And it spins all the way around, which I found impressive. And it goes up and down. It's very limited in terms of the length of the ladder. It's almost silly, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, you're just, where are you going? 3rd floor? But, you know, it's fine, right? And then you can, of course, collapse it, but you wouldn't. It would just rest here and then the little cradle. Let's see what else. It has some good weight to it. The feel is good. We have outriggers. Stabilizers. They're a little tight, but You have 4 of them, and they'll of course collapse. My tire came off. And underneath, pretty clean. I don't really have anything else to mention. The black windows are painted. This bit in the back is painted. Oh, there's some like diamond plating that's sculpted at the top here on both sides. I think that that's really well done. A couple black accents there at the top. It's pretty good. You know, it's pretty good. It's not amazing. It doesn't, you know, like I think it's the finish that doesn't come through just for given its size. But it feels solid. Feels stable, rolls like a champ, and I think it's well sculpted and overall well designed. Even if I do have some nitpicks with it here and there. Let me show you what it looks like next to Tiger Tracks. You know, so pretty good size for a fire truck. All right, let's go to base mode. So we have these panels. You're gonna flip one up, flip the other up, and then this little thing here is gonna get in your way. So just rotate it so that it doesn't, and then eventually it will free itself up, and that goes on the opposite side. We're gonna do that one more again. Flip up, flip up. You're gonna go to rotate, it's gonna stop you. That's a little reminder. So then it can go up, come around, flip over. Remove the ladder from its bedding back here. And we need to get the legs sorted. So we're going to split the legs. We're going to rotate them out round so that we keep it flat. So the legs come out, the legs come up, and the legs come around so that we keep the whole bit flat here, right? The chest comes up and out so it stays kind of at 90 degrees, and then the arms split, come around, rotate forward, and then the ladder comes up and sits on top. And I may have this a little bit wrong. What is going on here? Oh, it's the slider. So make sure it's slid forward. And that's it. I'll arm it up. We'll take a look at it kind of armed up. And there you have it. I'm not sure all that you want to see or all that you might care. I will show you what it looks like with a Legends class figure sort of hanging out in it, in case that was something that might interest you. You know, it's a base mode. It's a figure shaped in a number of kind of varying square shapes that have some sort of support to them structurally and have guns mounted to it. It's your typical Transformers base mode. It's not the most impressive. In fact, I'd argue it's one of the least impressive base modes that I've ever looked at, but that doesn't mean that it's awful as far as base modes go, right? Let's continue. Legs down. Bend the knee back in order to get access to this piece right here, this square, and we're gonna look for a spudger. We're gonna look for one. All right, I got this one. I'll try to get the other one on camera. All right, and then lock it back in place. We'll try to do it one more again. Once again, we need access. There. Crack the seal there. That will allow you to rotate that knee up, lock it back into place. On this side, we have these pieces here. They'll flip out, flip the toe down, straighten it out, flip the first piece in, and then the second piece down, and then the toe back up. Same for here. First piece in, second piece down, toe back up. All right, let's get the backpack out of the way for now. We're gonna get these arms out of the way, and we're gonna get access to this section here that's gonna flip out, the whole combiner head. So we're gonna take this black box that forms around it, we're gonna move that out of the way, and then we're gonna figure out where this thing comes apart. And I should have. Huh, that's interesting. It's going to be a little limited, I think. Maybe not. Sorry, it was jammed up, but you just had to kind of force it, which doesn't feel great. Then lift up the head, and then flip out this head down to the bottom, and then you can close up Defensor's head, and then you want to switch it back around. Take this form back over the head. Take this, bring it back down, and we're almost done here. You want to bring out his ears. On both sides. And then we have this chest piece. The chest piece has two pieces that slide. And we're going to slide those. I said we're going to slide those. We got to fill in there. Good grief. And then press on the pecs, the chest forward. Having a heck of a time. There's one. Well, let me see if I can get this chest out now. There. I guess it's easier to push from here. A lot of sliding pieces. Alright. We're going to put that back in. And then bring this back up and lock it in to the chest. Okay, so now we'll deal with the backpack. We got to get this piece on the opposite side of the ladder. So bend that. That'll let you get that through. Then you can open that up. This all extends. You can collapse your ladder in. This piece folds down, and then this rotates through, and then this comes up, and that comes over. And then you can take all of this, make sure that these are out of your way so you're not fighting against them. Bring that up together, and then there's two sort of pretty serious tabs on the side that these will tab into, securing it all. All right, let's handle the arm. So we got this piece that comes down, and this little nub here circles to the outside. And then we have this section which needs to be removed. Untab it, pull it out and away. And then we have the arm here. So that comes down. This piece comes down, swings around, rotates to the other side. Rotate the bicep to the other side. Open up your compartment here to free the hand. Close the compartment. Bring this down. This panel flips in. This panel flips in. This panel comes around, and then this swings in and tabs together, and that is one arm. We'll go ahead and do the other one. So open up this, swing this little piece forward. You want to pull away at the bumper, pull away at the door, which will free up that section. Then you can start putting it in a position that makes sense. Swing this down, rotate, that little pad comes down, swings over, tabs back into the other side. This flips in, this flips in, and then let's get the hand out. Flip the hand out, close that. This goes around. No, why isn't this going? All right, that tabs in, and then the last thing you want to do is slide the forearm down so that the whole arm is flush. And you can do that on both sides, and I will clean it up and we will take a look at it. And we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. And I think they did a great job. It's actually one of my more favorite things about the aesthetic choices of the figure. I think they really nailed it. I think a lot of the character comes through. I think that's one of MMC's strengths. Like, I think MMC really has a way, I don't know if it's in the face sculpt, I don't know how they do it, but they really have a way of making the character feel alive. So more power to them. The blue is painted, the red is painted. The ears are a nice touch because they definitely add something. The head is on a hinge swivel, I think. Or no, it's on a ball peg. Oh, God, be careful these ears because they have a tendency to... Oh, I just slid both of them out! Ugh, I mean, you get the idea, though. So, limit it up. Good down. Because an additional hinge is utilized and gets you good down. It's good because he's a very tall robot. Swivel, confused hotspot face. Alright, we'll back out now a little bit. So we have the red, black, and silver paint on the chest, which is like, unfortunately, some of our few paint accents here. Get you a waist swivel, no problem. Get you a great ab crunch, absolutely stunning. Well done. Shoulders, a lot of bulk here, right? But surprisingly elegant. So you have a hinge at the chest, you have an additional hinge at the shoulder, so you can get the arm almost all the way up. Right? Down, 360 around at a universal. We have a bicep swivel. It does mess with this door a bit if the arm is slightly out of whack, but if the arm is in line, you get it. I don't know. Say what you will about that. You can slide the bicep over a bit, and then you can get the free, so you could even cheat it if you wanted. I think that kind of counts. Double jointed elbow for the full run. Magnificent. Wrist swivel, thumb on a ball peg, fingers on a base pen knuckle that come out to a secondary and tertiary hinge for fully articulated fingers. However, not much in the paint department. A little bit here, a little bit there. That's where this guy kind of ends up suffering a good bit, unfortunately. Alrighty. Once again, we move on to the hips. We have 2 silver accents, and that is that, ladies and gents. Universals for hips. Get you out for the full Van Damme. We have a hip skirt here. Full forward. I say full back for the full Monty. Thigh swivel. Not the prettiest thigh swivel in the world, but you get it. Single hinge. I got to give it a single hinge for a 90-degree knee bend, so not the best there. And I got to make sure that I get that joint right. And let's see. Do I have these thighs right? Yeah. Yep. Okay, good. And then we have a little bit of a paint accent here and here. Not a whole lot. Ankle tilt, it's really a foot tilt down, toe tilt up, and a rocker, but the feet are a little cheesy. They just feel more like flippers than actual feet, so that's a little bit of a bummer as well. And there he is from the back. Incredibly clean for what this was, I think. So, let me show you what he looks like with the other two. I think that's important at this point. Size comparison wise, there he is with the other two. protective bots in my diorama, and they look good. You know, they look good together. I don't know if that's how I'm going to ultimately have them, but they look good. Digging it. Can't wait for the final two. All right. One more to go, right? So, let's open up our chest. While we're here, we can collapse the chest and collapse the abs. And if you need to see if you're right, these two blue pieces should be sitting flush together right there. And then we can open up our backpack as well. Untab, untab, disconnect, rotate down, and we need to do what? Flip this around, and then spin the defensor head 180. Open up the defensor head, flip up the hotspot head. You need to collapse the ears, and then flip down the defensor head, and then rotate the defensor head in the opposite direction. You can flip this piece up, and this entire abdominal section needs to flip up, and then what is my guy going on here? Why? Maybe these chest pieces do need to come forward. Let's try. Okay, there we go. Collapse these, and then that sits against that side. Now I'm going to raise up the camera a little bit, and I'm going to work on the arms. So once again, we have to split this open. The back of the fist needs to go up against the back of the forearm plate. The one plate that we maneuvered and swung around, we need to swing back around. And then these need to sit straight. This needs to open up. This needs to open up. We're going to flip out these two pieces that we had collapsed before. We're going to rotate that in. And then make sure you slide the bicep over, which is what I didn't do there and struggled for a minute. And then cut out for your convenience. And then tab that in so that that fills in that section. At this point, we can bring this down. These two tabs at the top of that black piece come down into the chest here. But it's a little challenging to do with the camera. Okay, and then you want to take your arm here, and we had to get this piece slightly out of the way. This needs to come down and stay together. But you see, it doesn't have the clearance. So you need to angle this in a way where the forearm can clip onto there, and then after it's done, then you can move it all the way up, and that will lock it into position. All right, so I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, so we're going to fold in our hand here. Where is it? Spin it, move the back. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure it's in focus for you guys. The back of the hand onto the forearm and then collapse it. We're going to open up this section here. We're going to open this up. We're going to flip down the parts of our cab that we had previously collapsed, and we're going to rotate the cab in. We're going to slide our bicep down to the opposite end so that the cab will come back around and tab in. And then we need to rotate. Oh, and we need to take this piece and fold it around. So let's do that first. And that tabs into the bicep. And then this piece will come around and tab in. Cool. Straighten this up. We're going to utilize this hook here. We're going to rotate it to get it out of the way. We'll know we have it right when our forearm collapses with space. And we don't have our forearm angled right. So there is how you need it. There. Then you can lock that in all the way. So the backpack, you just have these little fins here that you can flip out. And then you just collapse this back up, peg it into the back, so to speak. These pieces just sort of sit in there. And then you have these 4 tabs, and they co-align with those female connections here. I'm not going to waste too much time doing it, and you want to flatten out that piece. But I think you get the idea. I'll try one time here. You know, it's a little bit of a challenge because you got to get all those pegs to face forward. Pull the hips up, swing them to the back, and then they come out. This piece unpegs and comes around to the front. Then that section will come down. You can spin it around, and then you can just sit it up for now. And then this piece is going to come around to the front. And then we need to get the legs in position. And I think that's like that. I think that's the look you're going for here, with the kind of gridded area facing forward for a little extra kind of aesthetic, you know, which is a nice guide. All right, so we got to release some locks. We got one lock here. Unlock that. I got a stress mark on this tab. It's pretty significant. We have the same on the other side. And then we have locks down here. One on that side, and then one on this side. We have this piece, which we're going to flip up. We have this piece, which we're going to flip out and up. And then we have all of this stuff that needs to kind of come out. So there we go. And then that rotates around. And then this needs to come down. And that locks in. And then you can close in a lot of your locks that you unlocked. I might have to work on that one off camera. I'm going to see if I can do the other side any better. It's just hard to show. It's not all that complicated. So we have all these locks. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. And then we have our little cover here. We're going to open up. And then we have our foot here. We have this little panel that can open up, and then this one flips in. And then all of this unfurls and spins around. And then we need to rock that up and then snap that into place. And once that's snapped into place, everything should, I swear, lock back in. There's one. There's one. There's one. Let's spin this around. Once again, it's this inside one. God bless. So you just got to get this part of the thigh up close enough to the shin to make the hole, so to speak, for that lock to go in. I'll do it off camera. Extend your foot. Open this piece here. And then rotate the foot up, which will allow you to spin it around. Then open this piece here. Rotate this down. This piece comes around and tabs back in. And then these pieces here on the side rotate up and lock in. There's one on that side. You can't see it. But there's one on the opposite side. And then you got your feet at least facing the right way. Let's do this one too. That's why it's fresh in our mind. So we're going to open up this piece. That will allow you to bend the whole foot up. And then spin. I'm getting a call. Hold on 1 second.
Hi, my name is John O'Brien. I'm calling on behalf of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. How are you today?
I'm well. All right, sorry. Where was I? Okay, so then this piece has to come back down and plug into the back. Open up this piece, which I think is just for combining the vehicles. I don't think you need to worry about it. But these side pieces here flip up and lock in. And now we just have to open this up and spin this 180. Then this comes back to the back. You have these two flaps that open up on both sides. And there's something else in here too. There's a little piece in here that rotates up and locks in. It's hard to show because of all the dark plastic, but let me see if I can find a spudger real quick. It's right there. If you flip that up, there's a little groove for it to go into. Very intuitive. And then bring these down, and they'll tab into one another. Bring up the toe, flatten it out, and there you have it. So, last one. Open up, spin 180, flip out these panels. There's little tabs that'll flip up and lock in on both sides. Lock in. Then these pieces come down and around and close, and then the toe comes up, collapses in, and that is it. And I will clean it up and, oh no, it's not it. We got one more thing to do. We need to open up this area. So we got a flip or a flap here and a flap there. And we have flaps up at the top. Very subtle. Just widens the pelvis a bit, so to speak. And then there's a flap here that comes down and forms a box around the pelvis. And I am having a heck of a time. There it is. And then flip this up, bring your skirts around, fill it in. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. So there he is. And he's pretty impressive, and the proportions look great, which is kind of one of my bigger issues with their Bruticus. So that's good to see. There's no support system here for the weight, so it's like, you know, you can't really get an idea for it. But let me put a robot next to him. So there it is next to Unique Toys Swindle, Fans Toys drag strip. So he's a pretty, I mean, he's not in scale with the kind of Zeta combiners, but he's in scale with the MMC combiners, and it's appropriate for that, I guess. It's pretty impressive. The engineering is pretty impressive. And you can put like the Defensor like with the box around the head look. There's a way to do that too. I'm just under time constraints. So without further ado, let's get into some final thoughts. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. The most glaring negative of this is the lack of paint. The smaller figures kind of skirt around it from MMC. The bigger figure looks like it's lacking paint and ends up looking less quality than it actually is. It's a really well-made figure, but it doesn't have the oomph in it, the oomph behind it of what an MP of this size should have, especially at this level of sophistication and elegance, and that's because of the paint. I know, paint scratches. I've heard it all before. But I got news for you. I've got plenty of big masterpieces fully painted that do not have those issues. Let's move on. There is some plainness to it on top of the lack of paint. There's not a lot of sculpted detail in the thighs area. It just ends up looking like mechanical parts for the combiner. The toes and feet kind of look phoned in and a little bit more flipperish. The accessories, like the weapons, kind of look a tad too simple. You add that on top to the lack of deco, and it all tends to fall a bit flat. There's a little bit of awkwardness in terms of manipulating it, but I think I'm going to give that a pass. I think part of that is due to the character design. I think part of that is due to the size of the figure. I think I'm good with where I'm at. I can't help but wonder, though, how much could have been saved had it not had the all-in-one gimmick. But perhaps more on that at another time. But now let's talk positives, because there's plenty to talk about here as well. The transformation, breeze. Absolute fun, absolute impressiveness, absolute intuitiveness, absolute surprisingly good ingenuity. It's a figure that pulls off arguably 4 modes, and they're all fun to get through. Bravo, especially in 2024, because good night. I also think an insane amount of character comes through, not only in the awesome articulation, double jointed elbows on huge bulky arms, past 90-degree range on huge bulky arms, the fact that you can manipulate the bicep to get the full bicep swivel on what? Huge bulky arms. Ab crunch, ankle tilt up, down, and rocker. On and on and on. You add that into the very fine character sculpt that goes into the head, so to speak, as well as where they did put the emphasis on detail, and a ton of character comes through in a way that I think only Takara can do aside from them. The materials feel good, the build feels fantastic, and aesthetically, I think all modes except for arguably base mode are really impressive. So at the end of the day, it's a strong recommend for me. It's just one of those figures that I feel like is a home run, but could have been a grand slam. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.